Hey everyone, welcome to my channel from start to now. If you love uncovering hidden stories from history, you're in the right place. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss our future videos. Let's dive in. Imagine a land where mighty empires rose and fell, where kings ruled with both wisdom and ferocity, and where culture and art flourished in ways that still leave the world in awe today. That land is Iran, a country with a history so rich, so dramatic, and so influential that it has shaped civilizations for thousands of years. From the legendary Cyrus the Great, who united diverse peoples under one empire, to the modern complexities of Iran today, the story of this nation is nothing short of epic. Today, we're going to journey through time, exploring the conquests, kings, and culture that have defined Iran from its earliest days to the present. Imagine a world more than 2,500 years ago, where small kingdoms and tribes dotted the vast lands of the Middle East, each struggling for survival, each vying for power, yet none commanding the attention of the world in the way Persia would come to do. This was the land that would give rise to one of the most extraordinary empires the world had ever seen, led by a man whose name would echo through history as a symbol of leadership, wisdom, and fairness. His name was Cyrus, later known as Cyrus the Great, and his story begins not in a grand palace, but in the rugged terrain of the Persian plateau, in a small kingdom called Anshan. From humble beginnings, Cyrus would change the course of history forever. The young Cyrus inherited a kingdom at a time when the region was dominated by powerful neighbors and frequent conflicts. It would have been easy for a ruler to be content with the small domain he controlled, to simply maintain peace and security within his borders. But Cyrus was not content with being a small king. He had a vision that stretched far beyond the mountains and valleys of his homeland, a vision of uniting people, cultures, and lands under a single, just empire. What made him extraordinary was not only his ambition, but also the way he went about achieving it. Unlike other conquerors who ruled through fear and oppression, Cyrus understood the power of respect, diplomacy, and justice. As he began his conquests, Cyrus demonstrated a strategy that combined military brilliance with political savvy. He carefully built alliances, understanding that a stable empire required not just victory on the battlefield, but also the loyalty of those he governed. When he captured new lands, he allowed local customs, traditions, and religions to continue. This was revolutionary for the time, as most empires sought to suppress the identities of conquered peoples. Cyrus's approach fostered loyalty rather than resentment, and it allowed his empire to grow stronger with each new addition. The first major challenge Cyrus faced was uniting the disparate Persian tribes and small kingdoms under his leadership. This was no easy task, as these groups had long histories of conflict and rivalry. Yet, through a combination of diplomacy and skillful negotiation, he was able to bring them together, creating a foundation upon which a vast empire could be built. His early campaigns set the tone for what would become the Persian Empire, a model of governance and military efficiency. It was a system that balanced the authority of the king with the autonomy of local leaders, ensuring stability across a diverse and sprawling territory. Once he had consolidated power within Persia itself, Cyrus turned his attention to the Medes, a powerful empire to the northwest. The Medes had long dominated the region, and defeating them would not only secure Persia's position, but also send a message to the rest of the world about the rise of a new power. In a campaign marked by strategy and determination, Cyrus overthrew the Median king, effectively absorbing their lands and resources into his growing empire. This victory was more than a military conquest. It symbolized the dawn of a new era, one in which Persia would emerge as a dominant force in the ancient world. Cyrus's ambition did not stop there. He set his sights on the mighty Babylonian Empire, one of the most powerful and influential civilizations of the time. Babylon was a city of wealth, culture, and formidable defenses, yet Cyrus approached this challenge with a combination of military skill and strategic ingenuity. He understood that brute force alone was not enough to win the loyalty of a sophisticated and cultured population. So, he implemented policies that respected local traditions, religious practices, and governance structures. When he entered Babylon, he did so not as a ruthless conqueror, but as a liberator, earning the support and admiration of the people. The famous Cyrus Cylinder, often referred to as the world's first charter of human rights, reflects this approach, proclaiming religious tolerance and freedom for all within his empire. Under Cyrus, the Persian Empire expanded rapidly, stretching from the Mediterranean in the west to the Indus River in the east, encompassing diverse peoples, languages, and cultures. He created an administrative system that was remarkably advanced for its time, dividing the empire into satrapies, or provinces, each governed by a local ruler who reported directly to the king. This system allowed for efficient governance, tax collection, and law enforcement, while respecting the unique characteristics of each region. It was a model that would influence empires for centuries to come, including the administration of Alexander the Great and later rulers across the Middle East. But Cyrus was not only a master of administration and strategy, he was also a visionary in terms of culture and diplomacy. He understood that an empire could not survive on military might alone. It required culture, communication, and the exchange of ideas. Trade routes flourished under his reign, connecting distant regions and enabling the flow of goods, art, and knowledge. Persia became a hub of civilization, where different peoples could coexist, trade, and learn from one another. This cultural inclusivity strengthened the empire and created a sense of shared identity among its diverse populations. The story of Cyrus the Great also highlights his extraordinary leadership qualities. He inspired loyalty not through fear, but through respect and example. His soldiers admired him for his courage and fairness, and his subjects revered him for his justice and wisdom. His ability to combine compassion with strategic acumen set him apart from other rulers of his time, and it is one reason why his legacy endures to this day. Historians and scholars continue to study his reign not only for its military achievements, but also for its contributions to governance, diplomacy, and human rights. Cyrus's influence extended far beyond his lifetime. The empire he built laid the foundation for centuries of Persian civilization, shaping the political, cultural, and social landscape of the region. His successors continued to expand and consolidate the empire, but the principles he established, tolerance, justice, and strategic vision, remained central to Persian rule. Cities flourished, trade prospered, and Persian culture spread across the ancient world, influencing neighboring civilizations and leaving a lasting imprint on history. Even today, the story of Cyrus the Great resonates around the world. His example demonstrates that true leadership is about more than conquest. It is about vision, integrity, and the ability to unite diverse peoples toward a common goal. He reminds us that power without respect is fleeting, but power combined with justice and wisdom can endure for millennia. As we reflect on the rise of ancient Persia, we see a civilization that was not only strong and ambitious, but also profoundly humane. A civilization whose ideals and achievements continue to inspire awe and admiration. From the rugged hills of Anshan to the grandeur of Babylon, Cyrus the Great transformed a collection of small kingdoms into an empire that would define the ancient world. His story is a testament to the power of vision, the importance of leadership, and the enduring impact of a ruler who understood that true greatness lies not just in conquest, but in the ability to govern with wisdom, fairness, and respect. The rise of ancient Persia under Cyrus the Great is more than a historical episode. It is a lesson in leadership, strategy, and the lasting power of culture and ideas, and it set the stage for the magnificent empires and civilizations that would follow, shaping the course of history in ways that continue to resonate to this very day. After the extraordinary achievements of Cyrus the Great and the establishment of the First Persian Empire, the region continued to evolve in remarkable ways. The empires that followed carried the legacy of Persia forward, each leaving its own mark on history. Among them, the Parthian and Sassanid dynasties stand out as powerful forces that shaped not only the political landscape of Iran, but also the culture, identity, and influence of the Persian world for centuries. Their stories are filled with battles, diplomacy, artistic triumphs, and the resilience of a civilization determined to preserve its heritage against external pressures. The Parthian Empire emerged in the mid-3rd century BCE, at a time when the region had been fragmented after the fall of Alexander the Great's empire and the decline of the Seleucid dynasty. The Parthians were initially a group of nomadic tribes from northeastern Iran, known for their skill in horse riding and archery. They were not only formidable warriors, but also highly adaptable, able to challenge powerful empires with innovative strategies and tactics. Their rise to power marked a new chapter in Persian history, one characterized by both resistance and revival, as they sought to reclaim Iranian lands and traditions after centuries of foreign rule. One of the most distinctive features of the Parthian Empire was its military system, particularly the famous Parthian cavalry. These mounted warriors, often fighting with bow and arrow from horseback, could strike swiftly and retreat just as quickly, a tactic that baffled many of their enemies. This mobility and precision allowed the Parthians to resist invasions from the formidable Romans, who had expanded into the eastern Mediterranean and sought to dominate the region. Numerous battles along the western borders of the Parthian Empire demonstrated their military skill and resilience, allowing Persia to maintain its independence while establishing itself as a major regional power. Despite their reputation as fierce warriors, the Parthians were also savvy rulers. They understood that maintaining a vast empire required more than military strength. It required administration, diplomacy, and cultural cohesion. The empire was divided into semi-autonomous regions governed by local nobility who swore allegiance to the Parthian king. This system allowed for flexibility and local governance, ensuring that distant territories remained loyal while also accommodating the diverse cultures within the empire. Trade flourished under Parthian rule, connecting Persia to distant lands in India, China, and the Mediterranean, and fostering a rich exchange of goods, ideas, and cultural practices. Culturally, the Parthians were influenced by both their Iranian roots and the Hellenistic traditions that had spread through the region after Alexander's conquest. This blending of cultures created a unique artistic and architectural style, with elaborate palaces, fortifications, and urban centers that reflected both innovation and tradition. The Parthians valued art, literature, and learning, laying the groundwork for the later Sassanid dynasty to further expand Persian cultural achievements. Their ability to maintain Iranian identity while embracing elements from surrounding civilizations made them a resilient and enduring empire, one that would influence the course of Persian history for centuries. Following the decline of the Parthians, the Sassanid dynasty rose to power in 224 CE, marking the beginning of what many historians consider a golden age of Persian civilization. The Sassanids, claiming descent from the ancient Achaemenid kings, sought to restore the glory and traditions of earlier Persian empires while also adapting to the challenges of their time. Under the Sassanids, Persia became a highly centralized and sophisticated state, with a strong monarch at its head, a structured bureaucracy, and a unified legal and religious framework. This period saw not only political and military strength, but also remarkable achievements in culture, science, and art. One of the most significant aspects of the Sassanid Empire was its promotion of Zoroastrianism as the state religion. Zoroastrianism, an ancient Iranian faith, provided a unifying ideological and moral framework that helped consolidate the empire's diverse population. Religious institutions played a central role in society, guiding law, education, and governance. At the same time, the Sassanids allowed for some degree of religious tolerance, accommodating communities such as Christians, Jews, and others within their realm, which helped maintain social stability across a vast and culturally varied empire. The Sassanid era was also a period of intense rivalry with the Roman and Byzantine empires. These centuries of conflict tested Persian military strategy and resilience, as the Sassanids sought to defend their borders and expand their influence. Campaigns in Mesopotamia, Armenia, and along the eastern frontiers demonstrated both the strength and adaptability of the Sassanid military, which included well-trained cavalry, infantry, and siege units. These confrontations shaped the political landscape of the region and reinforced Persia's position as a formidable empire capable of competing with the most powerful civilizations of its time. Beyond warfare, the Sassanids left an enduring cultural legacy. Their cities became centers of learning, commerce, and craftsmanship. The architecture of the period, from grand palaces to intricately designed fire temples, reflected both artistic skill and technical innovation. Persian art, metalwork, textiles, and ceramics flourished, blending traditional Iranian motifs with influences from neighboring cultures. Literature and philosophy also thrived, preserving knowledge from earlier eras while generating new ideas in theology, science, and governance. The Sassanid Empire became a hub of civilization, admired by travelers and historians alike, and its influence extended far beyond its borders, impacting both Islamic and European societies in subsequent centuries. Trade under the Sassanids played a crucial role in connecting East and West. The Silk Road, passing through Persian territory, allowed merchants, scholars, and travelers to move goods, ideas, and culture between China, India, the Middle East, and the Mediterranean. This exchange enriched Persian society, introducing new technologies, artistic techniques, and knowledge that were absorbed and adapted, strengthening the empire's economic and cultural foundation. Persia, under the Sassanids, was not only a military power, but also a center of innovation and intellectual achievement, showcasing the sophistication of ancient Iranian civilization. The Sassanid dynasty also set the stage for the future of Iran by solidifying a sense of Persian identity. Their emphasis on Iranian culture, religion, and governance created continuity with the past while adapting to changing circumstances. Even after the eventual Arab conquest in the 7th century CE, which brought Islam to Persia, the Sassanid legacy endured in administration, cultural practices, and artistic traditions. Persian scholars, architects, and leaders carried forward elements of Sassanid civilization, ensuring that Iranian identity remained vibrant and influential despite external changes. What makes the Parthian and Sassanid periods particularly fascinating is the way they illustrate the resilience and adaptability of Persian civilization. Both empires faced external threats, internal divisions, and the challenges of governing vast and diverse territories, yet each found ways to survive, innovate, and thrive. The Parthians demonstrated the power of flexible military strategy and local governance, while the Sassanids showcased centralized administration, cultural revival, and intellectual achievement. Together, they form a bridge between the ancient Achaemenid Empire and the later Islamic period, preserving Persian heritage and laying the groundwork for centuries of influence in the region. From the mounted archers of the Parthians to the grand palaces and fire temples of the Sassanids, these empires exemplify the richness of Persian civilization. They remind us that history is not just about conquests and battles, but also about culture, governance, and the ability of a society to endure through adaptation and innovation. The achievements of these dynasties continue to inspire historians, scholars, and anyone interested in the remarkable story of Iran, demonstrating that a civilization's strength lies not only in its military might but also in its culture, administration, and enduring identity. The Parthians and Sassanids, with their resilience, creativity, and strategic brilliance, exemplify the enduring legacy of ancient Persia. They remind us that empires are not only built on conquest, but also on culture, administration, and the ability to inspire loyalty and respect among diverse populations. Their contributions shaped not just Iran but the wider world, influencing art, governance, religion, and trade for centuries, and ensuring that the story of Persian civilization remains one of the most remarkable and inspiring chapters in human history. As the Sassanid Empire reached the height of its power, the winds of change were already stirring on the horizon. In the 7th century, a new force emerged from the Arabian Peninsula, one that would profoundly reshape the cultural, political, and religious landscape of Persia. The arrival of Islam was not merely a conquest of territory. It was the beginning of a transformation that would leave an indelible mark on Iranian society. Yet, what makes the story of Iran during this period so fascinating is how the Persian people managed to absorb this new religion while preserving and even enriching their own cultural identity, giving rise to a renaissance that would influence the Islamic world for centuries. The Arab conquest of Persia was swift and decisive, fueled by the energy of a newly unified Islamic community and the strategic brilliance of its leaders. The Sassanid Empire, weakened by decades of conflict with the Byzantines and internal strife, could not withstand the advancing armies. Cities fell, and the old order was dismantled, but this was not the end of Persian civilization. Instead, it marked the beginning of a new chapter in which Persia would reinvent itself, blending its ancient traditions with the teachings and governance of Islam. One of the first remarkable aspects of this transformation was the adaptation of Persian governance within the framework of the Islamic Caliphate. Persian administrators, scholars, and intellectuals quickly became indispensable to the new rulers. Their expertise in bureaucratic management, taxation, and administration helped shape the Islamic Empire into a highly organized and efficient state. This collaboration between Persian knowledge and Islamic principles created a unique cultural synergy, allowing Persia to maintain its identity while contributing to the broader Islamic civilization. Beyond politics and administration, the intellectual and cultural achievements of Persia flourished under the new order. Persian scholars became central figures in what historians now call the Islamic Golden Age. They excelled in medicine, astronomy, mathematics, philosophy, and literature, translating ancient texts, preserving knowledge from Greece, India, and Rome, and producing original works that would influence generations to come. Cities like Baghdad, while outside Persia, became hubs of learning largely because of Persian scholars who brought their expertise, creativity, and passion for knowledge to these centers. Literature, in particular, became a powerful medium for preserving Persian identity and celebrating its heritage. Perhaps the most iconic example is Ferdowsi's Shahnameh, written over 1,000 years ago, which chronicles the mythical and historical kings of Persia from the creation of the world to the Islamic conquest. Ferdowsi's work was more than a literary masterpiece. It was a cultural statement, asserting the enduring legacy of Persian history and values in the face of sweeping change. The Shahnameh became a symbol of national identity, reminding Persians of their rich heritage and instilling pride in a civilization that had survived conquest, dynastic change, and cultural transformation. Persian art and architecture also experienced a renaissance during this period, blending Islamic influences with traditional Persian aesthetics. Mosques, palaces, and public buildings were adorned with intricate geometric patterns, calligraphy, and tile work that combined the spiritual principles of Islam with the elegance and sophistication of Persian design. The use of Persian motifs, techniques, and craftsmanship ensured that even in a new religious and political context, the distinctive beauty of Iranian culture remained alive and thriving. This synthesis of styles not only enhanced the visual splendor of Persian cities, but also served as a testament to the adaptability and resilience of Persian civilization. The influence of Persia extended beyond the borders of the empire, shaping Islamic culture as a whole. Persian language, literature, and administrative practices became integral to the governance and intellectual life of many Islamic states. Persian became the lingua franca of culture, diplomacy, and scholarship in much of the Islamic world, particularly in regions like Central Asia, India, and the Caucasus. This widespread influence ensured that Persian cultural contributions were recognized and celebrated far beyond the borders of modern Iran, cementing the country's status as a cradle of civilization within the Islamic world. Religious scholarship and philosophy also flourished during this period, with Persian thinkers interpreting Islamic teachings through the lens of centuries-old Iranian traditions. They developed sophisticated theological, philosophical, and mystical systems that enriched Islamic thought, blending reason, spirituality, and cultural heritage. Figures like Avicenna in medicine and philosophy, Al-Farabi in logic and political theory, and many others exemplify this golden era of intellectual achievement, demonstrating that the Persian cultural renaissance was not limited to art or literature, but encompassed every facet of knowledge and human understanding. Social and cultural life in Persia adapted in fascinating ways during this period. Traditional festivals, rituals, and customs continued to be celebrated, often infused with new meaning within an Islamic context. Persian poetry and music thrived, serving as vehicles for both artistic expression and spiritual reflection. The Persian emphasis on beauty, symbolism, and storytelling created a cultural environment in which creativity and scholarship could flourish, allowing society to navigate the tension between preserving ancient traditions and embracing new religious and political realities. Trade and commerce under the Islamic caliphates further enhanced Persian influence. Persian merchants, artisans, and scholars facilitated exchanges of goods, ideas, and culture across vast distances, connecting Persia to India, China, the Middle East, and even Europe. This integration into a broader economic and intellectual network allowed Persian innovations in science, art, and administration to spread widely, reinforcing Persia's reputation as a center of learning, creativity, and civilization. Persian carpets, manuscripts, architectural techniques, and scholarly works became highly sought after, leaving a lasting mark on global culture. Despite the profound changes brought by the Arab conquest, the Persian people maintained a strong sense of identity, anchored in their history, language, and traditions. The cultural renaissance that emerged from this period demonstrates the resilience of Persian civilization and its ability to adapt without losing its essence. It also highlights the dynamic interplay between conquest and cultural continuity, showing how a society can be transformed politically and religiously while preserving and even enhancing its unique identity. The synthesis of Persian culture and Islamic civilization during this period had lasting effects on the region and the world. Persian influence shaped the development of art, literature, governance, and intellectual life throughout the Islamic world for centuries, creating a legacy that persists to this day. Persian thinkers, poets, architects, and scholars not only preserved ancient knowledge, but also expanded it, contributing original ideas and innovations that enriched global civilization. Their work demonstrates that cultural renaissance is not simply a revival of the past, but an active process of adaptation, synthesis, and creativity that responds to changing historical circumstances while remaining rooted in a society's core values and identity. The story of Persia during the Islamic conquest and cultural renaissance is a powerful reminder that even in the face of monumental change, a civilization can endure, transform, and thrive. Persian culture did not vanish under new rulers. Instead, it flourished, influencing art, literature, philosophy, and science across the Islamic world and beyond. This period illustrates the remarkable capacity of the Persian people to integrate new ideas, embrace new religious frameworks, and yet maintain a distinctive cultural identity, ensuring that Persia remained a vital and influential force in history. Through literature, scholarship, art, and architecture, Persia reinvented itself while honoring its past, creating a cultural legacy that would inspire generations for centuries. The achievements of Persian scholars, poets, and artists during this time continue to resonate, reminding us that the true measure of a civilization lies not just in its political power, but in its capacity to adapt, innovate, and leave a lasting cultural imprint on the world. The Persian cultural renaissance during the Islamic era stands as one of the most remarkable periods in human history, demonstrating the enduring strength, creativity, and influence of Iran, a civilization that could survive conquest, embrace transformation, and still flourish with unmatched brilliance. As centuries passed, Persia continued to evolve, shaped by conquests, dynasties, and the blending of cultures. Yet the formation of a distinct Iranian identity remained a central theme in its history. One of the most transformative periods in this journey came with the rise of the Safavid dynasty in the early 16th century. The Safavids were not simply another ruling family. They were visionaries who fundamentally changed the political, religious, and cultural landscape of Iran, creating a foundation that continues to influence the country to this day. Their reign marked a turning point in Iranian history, unifying the nation under a single ruler, establishing Shia Islam as the state religion, and fostering a remarkable cultural renaissance that blended tradition with innovation. The origins of the Safavids are as fascinating as their rise to power. Emerging from a Sufi religious order, the Safavids initially focused on spiritual teachings and local influence. Over time, their followers grew in number and power, and by the early 1500s, Shah Ismail I, a charismatic and determined leader, transformed the movement into a political and military force. His vision was ambitious: to unify the fragmented lands of Persia, assert independence from neighboring empires, and create a distinct identity rooted in both Iranian heritage and Shia Islam. Shah Ismail's ascent to power was swift, and by 1501 he had declared himself Shah of Persia, setting in motion a series of changes that would shape the nation for centuries. One of the most significant contributions of the Safavid dynasty was the establishment of Shia Islam as the state religion. Prior to this, Persia had been religiously diverse, with a mix of Sunni Islam, Zoroastrianism, and other beliefs. By promoting Shia Islam, the Safavids created a unifying ideology that differentiated Persia from its powerful neighbors, particularly the Sunni Ottoman Empire to the west. This religious transformation was not only political but also cultural, as it shaped the rituals, art, architecture, and societal norms of the nation. Mosques, religious schools, and shrines were built throughout the country, serving as centers of learning, devotion, and community, and reinforcing the new identity that the Safavids were cultivating. Under Safavid rule, Persia experienced a cultural renaissance that brought art, literature, and architecture to unprecedented heights. Cities such as Isfahan, Shiraz, and Tabriz became vibrant centers of creativity, adorned with magnificent mosques, palaces, and public spaces that reflected both the grandeur of the empire and the sophistication of Persian craftsmanship. The iconic architecture of this period, with its intricate tilework, domes, and minarets, remains a symbol of Iran's artistic heritage. Calligraphy, miniature painting, and carpet weaving also flourished, producing works of extraordinary beauty that combined traditional Persian motifs with influences from neighboring cultures, creating a unique and enduring aesthetic. Trade and commerce were equally important during the Safavid era, connecting Persia to the wider world and strengthening the economy. The Silk Road passed through the heart of the empire, facilitating the exchange of goods, ideas, and culture between Europe, the Middle East, India, and China. Persian merchants thrived, exporting carpets, textiles, spices, and other goods, while foreign travelers brought new knowledge, technologies, and artistic styles. This flow of commerce and culture not only enriched the economy, but also reinforced Persia's position as a hub of civilization, admired and respected across the globe. The Safavids also invested in governance and administration, creating a centralized state capable of maintaining order and stability across a vast and diverse territory. Shahs relied on loyal military forces, administrators, and local governors to manage their provinces while ensuring that the policies of the central government were enforced. This system balanced centralized authority with regional autonomy, allowing the empire to flourish while accommodating the unique cultural and geographical diversity of Persia. The emphasis on organization, law, and governance during the Safavid era set a standard that influenced subsequent dynasties and shaped the political landscape of modern Iran. Shah Abbas I, one of the most celebrated Safavid rulers, epitomized the combination of political acumen, military skill, and cultural vision that defined the dynasty. Under his reign, the empire reached its peak in terms of territorial expansion, economic prosperity, and artistic achievement. Shah Abbas moved the capital to Isfahan, transforming the city into a jewel of urban planning, with wide boulevards, grand squares, and stunning public buildings. His policies encouraged trade, supported artisans, and promoted education, ensuring that Persia's cultural and economic vitality was sustained for generations. The legacy of Shah Abbas demonstrates how visionary leadership can unify a nation, foster creativity, and secure lasting influence. The Safavid period also reinforced the sense of Iranian identity that had developed over centuries, by combining the revival of Persian culture with the promotion of Shia Islam. The dynasty created a distinct national identity that set Persia apart from its neighbors. This identity was expressed not only in governance and religion, but also in art, literature, and public life. Persian poetry, storytelling, and historical chronicles celebrated the achievements of kings, warriors, and scholars, instilling pride in a shared heritage and reinforcing a sense of continuity with the past. The Safavids understood that culture and identity were essential to the stability and cohesion of the state, and they invested heavily in nurturing both. As the centuries progressed, Persia faced new challenges, including invasions, internal conflicts, and the pressures of modernization. In the 18th and 19th centuries, rulers like Nader Shah and the Qajar dynasty grappled with these challenges, attempting to preserve Persian sovereignty while engaging with the changing world around them. Efforts at modernization, reform, and centralization reflected the ongoing tension between tradition and progress, a theme that had been present throughout Iranian history. These developments set the stage for the 20th century, when Iran would undergo dramatic transformations in governance, society, and identity, drawing upon the foundations laid by the Safavids and earlier dynasties. The Safavid legacy is particularly remarkable because it demonstrates how a dynasty can shape the cultural, religious, and political identity of a nation. Their vision of a unified, culturally rich, and religiously cohesive Persia influenced not only their contemporaries but also generations of Iranians who came after them. The architectural marvels, artistic achievements, and administrative systems established during this period remain visible today, offering tangible evidence of the dynasty's enduring impact. Beyond the material and political accomplishments, the Safavids succeeded in embedding a sense of Iranian identity that continues to resonate in contemporary society, reflecting the resilience and adaptability of Persian civilization. The cultural and religious foundations established by the Safavids also played a critical role in defining Persia's interactions with the wider world. By emphasizing Shia Islam and Iranian heritage, the dynasty created a distinct identity that influenced diplomacy, trade, and regional politics. Persia was no longer simply a geographical region. It became a nation with a cohesive culture, a shared religious framework, and a unified sense of purpose. This identity allowed Persia to navigate the complexities of international relations, assert its sovereignty, and maintain its influence despite the shifting tides of history. The Safavid period ultimately illustrates the power of leadership, vision, and cultural investment in shaping the destiny of a nation. Through political unification, religious reform, economic development, and cultural renaissance, the dynasty transformed Persia into a cohesive and influential empire, laying the groundwork for modern Iranian identity. The achievements of the Safavids highlight the interplay between tradition and innovation, demonstrating that the preservation of heritage can coexist with adaptation to new realities, and that a nation's identity is both a product of its past and a guide for its future. The formation of Iranian identity during the Safavid era set the stage for centuries of continuity and resilience. The dynasty's contributions to religion, culture, governance, and society created a lasting framework for understanding what it meant to be Persian. Even as subsequent dynasties and political changes reshaped the country, the foundations laid by the Safavids endured, influencing art, literature, architecture, and social structures. Their legacy reminds us that identity is not static, but evolves through the interaction of history, culture, and leadership, and that a strong sense of identity can empower a nation to survive and thrive across generations. When we look at Iran today, we see a nation that is both modern and ancient, a country where bustling cities and contemporary life exist alongside ruins and monuments that have stood for thousands of years. But what truly makes Iran remarkable is not just its history of empires, kings, and conquests. It is the enduring cultural legacy that has survived, adapted, and influenced the world across centuries. From literature and poetry to art, architecture, music, and traditions, Iranian culture has maintained a unique identity that continues to inspire and captivate people far beyond its borders. Iran's literary heritage is among the richest in the world. Persian poetry in particular has had a profound impact, not only in Iran but across the Middle East, Central Asia, and even Europe. The works of poets like Rumi, Hafez, Sodi, and Ferdowsi capture the beauty, philosophy, and depth of Persian thought. These poets wrote about love, spirituality, morality, and the human experience, creating timeless works that transcend language and era. Ferdowsi's Shahnameh, for instance, preserves the myths, legends, and history of Persia, celebrating kings, heroes, and the struggles of the past. Poetry became a vessel for identity, morality, and inspiration, allowing the Iranian people to maintain a connection to their past even through centuries of change. Art and architecture in Iran are another testament to the country's enduring legacy. From the grand palaces and mosques of the Safavid era to the ancient ruins of Persepolis, Iranian architecture demonstrates an incredible blend of form, function, and symbolism. Intricate tilework, elegant domes, soaring minarets, and geometric patterns reflect not only technical skill, but also a profound appreciation for beauty and harmony. These designs influenced architecture far beyond Iran's borders, inspiring buildings in India, Central Asia, and the Ottoman Empire. Similarly, Persian miniature painting, metalwork, and ceramics showcase the meticulous craftsmanship and artistic sensibilities that have been nurtured over centuries, demonstrating that art in Iran has always been a reflection of culture, religion, and philosophy intertwined. Music and performing arts also have a deep-rooted presence in Iranian culture. Traditional Persian music, with its distinctive instruments and melodic structures, conveys emotion, history, and storytelling in ways that words alone cannot capture. Musical traditions are closely linked to poetry, and together they create a rich cultural tapestry that reflects both the joys and sorrows of human experience. Folk dances, rituals, and performances continue to be celebrated across the country, connecting modern Iranians to their heritage while also allowing the culture to evolve and remain vibrant. One of the most visible expressions of Iran's cultural influence is in its architecture and urban planning. Cities like Isfahan, Shiraz, and Yazd are living museums of Persian civilization, showcasing streets, squares, mosques, and bridges that reflect centuries of design, engineering, and aesthetics. The Safavid era, in particular, left a remarkable imprint with grand public spaces like Nakshi Jahan Square, where architecture, commerce, and public life merge in a harmonious environment. These cities are not just tourist attractions, they are symbols of a culture that values beauty, community, and ingenuity, and they demonstrate how urban design can reflect identity and social cohesion. Carpet weaving and textiles are another area where Iran has left an enduring mark on global culture. Persian carpets are renowned for their intricate designs, vibrant colors, and symbolic motifs, representing both artistry and storytelling. Each region of Iran has its own weaving style, reflecting local traditions, history, and natural landscapes. Persian rugs became highly sought after by traders and collectors around the world, influencing textile design globally and serving as cultural ambassadors of Iran's creativity and craftsmanship. The resilience of Iranian culture is particularly evident in its ability to adapt and thrive despite political upheavals, invasions, and social change. Even after the Arab conquest, the Mongol invasions, and later periods of foreign influence, Persian culture absorbed external elements while retaining its distinct identity. This adaptability ensured the survival of language, literature, art, and customs across centuries, proving that culture is not static, but evolves while remaining rooted in core values and heritage. Festivals like Nowruz, the Persian New Year, demonstrate this continuity, celebrating renewal, family, and tradition in ways that have remained meaningful for thousands of years. Nowruz is more than a holiday. It is a living tradition that connects Iranians across time and space, reflecting the persistence and adaptability of their cultural identity. Education and scholarship have also been central to Iran's cultural legacy. From the centers of learning in the Sassanid and Islamic eras to modern universities, Iranian scholars have contributed to philosophy, medicine, astronomy, mathematics, and the humanities. Figures like Avicenna, Al-Farabi, and Omar Khayyam illustrate the depth and breadth of Persian intellectual achievement, showing that Iran has long been a center of knowledge and innovation. This emphasis on learning and intellectual inquiry has ensured that Iranian culture continues to influence not only the Middle East but also Europe, South Asia, and beyond, creating a legacy that extends far beyond its geographic borders. Iranian culture is also defined by its cuisine, clothing, and daily customs, which reflect centuries of history, geography, and social interaction. Traditional dishes, with their unique flavors and regional variations, tell stories of trade, agriculture, and cultural exchange. Clothing styles, though evolving over time, continue to reflect Iranian aesthetics, symbolism, and regional identity. These everyday aspects of life, combined with literature, music, and art, create a holistic cultural experience that is distinctly Iranian, showing how heritage can permeate all aspects of society. Religious and spiritual practices have further shaped Iranian culture, creating layers of meaning that continue to resonate today. The integration of Shia Islam with older traditions, folklore, and local customs resulted in a rich tapestry of rituals, observances, and festivals that strengthen social cohesion and cultural continuity. Pilgrimages, ceremonies, and spiritual poetry all serve to reinforce a shared sense of identity, connecting individuals to their history and community. Persian mysticism, expressed through literature, music, and philosophy, has had a lasting influence not only in Iran but across the Islamic world, inspiring generations of thinkers, poets, and artists. The influence of Iranian culture can also be seen globally, as Persian art, literature, and scholarship have inspired countless civilizations over centuries. The use of Persian motifs in architecture and design, the translation of Persian literature into multiple languages, and the study of Persian philosophy and science in universities worldwide demonstrate that Iran's cultural legacy is not confined to its borders. Instead, it is a living influence, continuing to shape global understanding of art, thought, and human creativity. Ultimately, the enduring cultural legacy of Iran is a story of resilience, creativity, and identity. It demonstrates that while kingdoms may rise and fall, and political regimes may change, the essence of a civilization can persist through its arts, literature, traditions, and intellectual achievements. Iran's ability to preserve its cultural identity while embracing new ideas, influences, and innovations is a testament to the strength and adaptability of its people. This legacy reminds us that culture is more than history. It is a living, evolving force that connects past, present, and future, shaping not only a nation but also the wider world. Iran's story is one of continuity and influence, of a culture that has survived conquests, dynasties, and modern challenges while continuing to inspire and enrich humanity. The poetry, art, music, architecture, scholarship, and traditions of Iran form a vibrant, living heritage that continues to define the country and leave a lasting mark on global civilization. From the ruins of Persepolis to the bustling streets of Tehran, from the verses of Rumi to the intricate designs of Persian carpets, Iran's cultural legacy is a reminder that the power of human creativity, identity, and expression endures, and that a nation's spirit can thrive across centuries. Through its art, ideas, and traditions,